My name is Andy Lack. I am here on this Monday morning with my good friend Geoff Fienberg, and we are here for another edition of The Drive. Jeffrey, not all weeks can be Riviera, right? We have been treated to two of the best weeks in a row on the golf calendar that I can think of in recent memory. I love the Honda Classic. I think it's a really fun golf course. There's a ton of water on this golf course. There's a ton of variance on this golf course. We get 300 to 1 winners occasionally on this golf course. But unfortunately, we are not treated to the all-time fields that we have been the last 2 weeks. What would you say your excitement level is this week for the event down in Palm Beach Gardens?
I always enjoy this event, Andy. I enjoy that it always has a bit of an international flair. It's a lot of, internationals, maybe like guys that we think are young, but they're 30-year-old Europeans. We kind of meet for the first time here. It's an incredibly difficult course that even if it wasn't in a horrible scheduling spot, we've often seen the best players in the world really want no part of what PGA National can bring. It can humble even the best golfers in the world. I am going to be down in Palm Beach later this week. Will I actually step foot on the grounds? We'll see. We'll see. I think so. But we'll see. So I always like this event. I love the course. But yeah, the field is weak, especially for the amount of players that live a driver away.
Right. And we have a very interesting predicament this week as well when we look at the top of the odds board. Just scanning through here, the OddsChecker US Golf Grid, Sung Jae and Shane Lowry have clearly emerged as the top two. I mean, the best that I'm seeing on Sung Jae this morning is plus 850, which can be found at BetMGM, and the best that I'm seeing on Lowry is 14 to 1 on BetMGM. Once we get past those guys, I mean, you can find anyone over 25 to 1, right? So I guess the question is, and again, maybe the only reason I'm even asking you this question in the first place is because the amount of success that these guys going off at plus 850 have had in tournaments. But are you in on Sung Jae or Shane Lowry this week? I guess would be my first question.
Nope, not at all. Was on Sung Jae when he won here a couple years ago, and then last year he showed up as the favorite and completely missed the cut. And not to steal any of my friend Pat Mayo's thunder, but he even propositioned to me betting them both to miss the cut parlayed pays more than both of them winning. And which one at a course like this might actually be more plausible? I mean, anything can happen in terms of a miscut here and a number that can just relate, end up having a bad week. The field is not ideal, Andy, but if people are watching this, they bet golf. They're in the grind with us. And the ecosystem needs fields like this. Not every, you said, not everything can be last week. But as for me, I have zero temptation to play any of these numbers. I wasn't even tempted to play John Rahm at 7.5 to 1 last week. How could I be tempted to play Sung Jae? I mean, that's my own silliness, I guess, in some ways. But that's just how I'm convincing myself that this is just not the bets for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. The only thing is, once you get past Sung Jae and Shane Lowry, you have this giant group of guys that are, and again, I would say use the OddsChecker grid, shop around, but you have this giant group of guys between like 25 and 35. I'm talking about Aaron Wise, Alex Noren, Chris Kirk, Denny McCarthy, Minwoo Lee, Billy Horschel, Matt Kuchar, Adam Svensson. All those guys can be found somewhere between 20 and 35 at most books. Is this where you're starting your card, Jeffrey?
Well, technically, maybe you could say I started my card because in the interest of full disclosure, Andy, I'm one of the many people in our little niche community who woke up with the Adam Svensson 60 to 1 this morning.
Ooh, I like that.
That is now down to 35. It just felt like a number that had to be played. I'm not even here to condone the 35. Of the players you did mention, it is Minwoo Lee who absolutely pops off the page to me. It is 25 to 1. At first instinct, that could feel a little short. When you realize the guy in his last 8 worldwide starts hasn't finished outside the top 12, many of those starts have been very strong Middle East European tour fields that even have some of those live bodies that just made it a really strong field. Minwoo Lee was going off in those in 25, 28, 30 to 1. So in comparison to what he was in I don't think you could deny a stronger field just a few weeks ago, maybe this number isn't unfair. The fairest number, I did not bet it, would be Billy Horschel. Billy
Yes.
Horschel's at 30 to 1. He's a PGA Tour star, for lack of a better words. He's a comfortable Florida Gator here. Finding fair numbers can be hard. This one is more than fair, but maybe it says something about me that I love the struggle, Andy. I'm not here for a fair number. I'm here for a bet on a guy that's never won anything at 10 points more in a minute.
I will briefly make the case for Aaron Wise, who is a player that has been on my radar for quite some time, and he is generally, come December, Geoff, a very popular breakthrough candidate pick. And at the start of every season, he tends to disappoint us. And we all look at ourselves and say, wow, is Aaron Wise as good as we think he is? Why did we all pick Aaron Wise as this breakthrough candidate? And then we get to Florida and he really starts to turn it on. And by season's end, Geoff, he's in the Tour Championship and one of the 30 best players on tour. I think he turns his season around this week. I bet him at 28 to 1 on Bet365. That was the best number available for him. We're talking about a guy who's had a lot of great success at this course, and even in the missed cuts that he's had to start the season, it's been all short game and putting related. He's been hitting the ball well. The only other guy in this range that I haven't pulled trigger at, but was looking at is, man, Kuchar's numbers are good. And I don't know what to do with that because part of me is like, he's 44 years old. Do I really see Kuchar raising the trophy? But then you look back and it's like, man, all those times I bet Justin Rose finally paid off. Maybe the numbers are the numbers and these guys have got one more in them.
Kuchar can plot around this place nicely. That wouldn't shock me one bit. And I like where you are with Wise and even sticking in this range. The way Denny McCarthy's playing, Andy.
Yeah.
Now he goes back to Bermuda on a course that he finished third at last year. I mean, really strong form. He's probably feeling as good about his game as possible. The thing about the Honda, which can be an expensive comment I'm about to make, expensive for me, I'll do it responsibly. If there's a guy you like, you think he's got a pulse, if you believe in a pro golfer and think, I think my guy can shoot 2 under every day for 4 days, you're probably going to win the Honda or be right there at the end. It's hard for me to want to bet a guy and not think, this guy's possible shooting a 1.5, 2 under today. That's all you got to do. You'll be right where you need to be late Sunday if that's easier said than done. But in my head, I'm like, which pro golfer can't do that I want to bet on? So it can get a little expensive, but no, I'm not really there with any of them yet. Although you could maybe talk me into something.
Yeah, so as we move down a little bit farther, and this is generally the range, a lot of names in here that me and you tend to like, Geoff. I'm talking about this 35 through, 60 or 70 range. We got names like Adrian Meronk, Thomas Dietrich, Taylor Pendrith, Jonathan Vegas, Cameron Davis, Christian Bezadenhout, Sepp Straka, defending champion, even down to Hayden Buckley and Robbie Shelton. A lot of names that both of us have wasted a lot of money on over the years, Geoff. Is this another week where we go dive in head first with Pendrith and Dietrich and guys like that?
Very tempted on Taylor Pendrith. The 40 to 1s available right now. BetMGM looks to be the highest I'm seeing on the OddsChecker grid. He can hit it a mile, but he has shown an ability to have really good success on some of the shorter courses where you club down. And history has shown here, Andy, bombers have had success. I was in attendance for a Justin Thomas Luke List playoff at PGA National once, which means, the driver's not there, but these guys can hit that other club farther than you can. And that means if they're in the fairway, they're less likely to hit the water playing from 30 yards closer than you are. So we have seen guys who hit it a mile have success here. Detry making his maiden voyage. I don't know if I'll be able to quit that. It's a 40 to 1. Do I wish he had some kind of Honda resume? No, but I've bet Detry as a as as a virgin on a lot of layouts. That's what you're going to
Yeah,
have to do when you want to bet on a PGA rookie. But the Pendrith one is one I keep coming back to, and Johnny Vegas.
that's
If
the
you want
guy
to
for
just
me.
go by
Yeah.
how a guy struck the ball last week,
Yep.
Johnny Vegas, abandoned by his putter, but he's made 5 or 6 straight cuts here, Andy, and making the cut, that is what it is. But as we sort of joked about off the top, the best players miss the cut here. Like that just happens. There's so much trouble everywhere that making 5 or 6 straight cuts here is worth more than making 5 or 6 straight cuts at a lot of places. So I give Johnny a lot of credit for that. Highlighted by a 4th place finish a few years ago that was an a first round lead in that performance. So I'm swimming around Johnny, and I'm swimming around our boy Buckley at 65-1 on that grid.
Yeah, you hit it. Vegas is the guy for me. I'm looking at a guy who struck the ball extremely well last week, has an incredible resume at the Honda Classic. He's played here 10 times, made the cut 9 out of 10 times. He's also got a top 5 finish in there. And like you mentioned, I mean, the thing about a course like PGA National is you're right. A lot of longer hitters have played well here in the past because yes, this is a course that can take driver out of your hands a lot of the times because there is a hazard on basically every single hole. Water comes into play on 15 holes. There's 26 individual water hazards on this course. So your main objective this week is keeping the ball out of the water. And what some of the longer hitters can do is they can take 4 and 5 irons off the tee and still find themselves with a pretty manageable approach. It's not like this course is very long. So, yeah, it is Jonathan Vegas for me in this range. I'll just open it up at this point, Geoff, to pretty much anyone you like down here. Is there anyone that has your attention in, I guess, 70 plus range just in general? Could be going up all the way up into the bomb section. But who are some of the names that have your attention all the way down the board?
If this week on the PGA Tour can't deliver the long shot better, then they might as well just give up. They might as well just give up. I'm not, listen, I like to bet in that 25-40-1 range. I'm not hitting anything either because it's coming from the top, and I don't bet on Max Homa. So I've been missing those ones too, Andy. Going farther, disappointed to see I missed bigger numbers on Danny Willett this morning off a nice little Riviera performance, but a nice short course with trouble where a winning score can flirt with 5 under par is a place where maybe I like to show my support for my guy Danny Willett. And I throw a disclaimer on this one, Eric Von Royen, Andy.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. I'm going to bet him, and he's going to make a 10 on a par 4 with 2 water balls. But I really do want to bet him. I think it could line up very well for Eric this week to finagle his way around. But when you bet on EVR, you almost know the floor, like that the floor is ugly and it can be there. But that's the fun of outright bets, right? It's not DFS. My 5th place will pay as much as my 80th place.
Exactly. And I will throw in a little SH Kim into the mix there. He's sneakily been playing some excellent golf. I am a sucker for Will Gordon, who can be found in the
Yes.
80s. Adam Long, oddly enough, was a guy that popped for me in a bunch of statistical categories. I guess the last question before we get out of here is, do you have any interest in being early on a guy like Pearson Coody or a guy like Akshay Bhatia? These are guys that can be found at 150 and 160-1. And, Pearson Coody's won twice already in the Korn Ferry Tour. He was the best collegiate player basically last year out of Texas. Do you think there's any chance that we get a Matt Wolff at the 3M Open situation where some of these guys just pop immediately?
Okay, so I've long said I feel like I'd always rather take my shot with a young upside than, a veteran that we kind of know what to expect, like a Zach Johnson, a Luke Donald at 150-1. Maybe I would rather agree with you. I'm not there. It
Yeah.
wouldn't shock me, but I'm not fully there to pull that sort of shoot. When we get into those hundreds, and this will probably be, an attractive week for people to play the long shots this week. I'm shocked to see Russell. I'm surprised that I missed the high Russell Knox numbers that were there like 40 minutes ago. I guess he's popular.
Oh my God. Is Russell Knox getting hit? Because this is a guy, I mean, he pops in a lot of the things I was looking for.
Yeah, he's
but I
gotten hit,
still
and
never expect him to get hit.
Yeah, I would have thought I could have stared at that for quite a while before I had to make a decision this morning, Andy. And I don't know. I just keep going back to the international flair in that 40 to 60 range. Pendrith, Adrian Maronk, who you had mentioned, Johnny Vegas, little Latino heat on that one. I see a heavy 40 through 80 card construct coming from me this week.
I am right there with you as well. And that will do it from us this morning. For me, I am Andy Lack, ADP Lack Sports on Twitter. That is Geoff Fienberg, G Fienberg 17. And we will see you next week down at Bay Hill for the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Cheers.